Most players think that Killdroid is one of the worst killers in Die of Death, but if you stop making these 12 common mistakes, it easily becomes one of the best. Starting off, Killdroid is the only ranged killer in the game, but most people don't know how to use him correctly. When players have stamina, the ranged missile attacks are pretty much useless as they can just run away. However, if you can chase down a player for long enough, they will run out of stamina and then Killdroid becomes overpowered. But to make it even better, you can flick from one survivor to the next and make this attack super good. But when is a good time to use the flight ability? Most players will just use it randomly and then get super frustrated when it doesn't work. However, these are the situations where you want to correctly use the flight ability. The first is in an open area, because if there's a lot of pillars around, it makes it super hard to fly. But if it's super open, you can easily spot players and use the splash damage to make it even better. However, what happens when someone starts looping you over and over again? Unfortunately, this is a big problem with killers such as Badware and Killdroid because they're super slow. However, the solution is pretty simple. To do it, simply use the deploy ability to block off every loop, because this will make all the noob survivors stop looping you. However, the better players will still find a way. So to stop them, you're going to want to use the detonate ability when you've already cornered them with the deploy ability. Now this will work on noobs, but with players getting better and better every single day, how do you stop a good Killdroid user? To do this, we need to look at what survivor abilities are good versus bad for stopping Killdroid. Now first up, we got using adrenaline, but as a survivor, this is not gonna work very well, because if it ends, you're kind of just a sitting target for a few seconds. Now if the person playing Killdroid is a noob, you're probably okay, but if they have experience, then I'm not gonna lie, you're gonna take a lot of damage. Then unfortunately, the banana peel is not much better, because if you're close to any corners, the splash damage will do tons of damage to you. And if you were hoping it was gonna get better, it isn't, because taunt is probably the worst option because of the fact it's so loud. But now that we know what abilities not to use, which one should we be using? Starting with the punch ability, because this one makes you be able to loop for much longer without running out of stamina. Now we'll look at some better counters in a second, but I'm not gonna lie, this one isn't bad, because as long as you can keep looping him, he won't be able to use any abilities, and honestly, he might just leave the game. But if they don't leave the game, this next ability will be your best friend. Have you ever been in a situation where the killer is right on your tail and you just wish you could go invisible? I know I have, and luckily for us, the cloak ability does just that. But what's even better about it is you can use it over and over again. This next ability gets even better, because what if you have super low health and Killdroid is right behind you? You could go invisible or try and find the hiding spot, but with the hot dog ability, you instantly get 15 health. The only downside is it does take away 5 stamina, so you're gonna want to make sure you're not out in the open. With these counters, you should be able to beat Killdroid almost every time. However, earlier today when I was playing Die of Death, my friend bet me 1,000 Robux that I couldn't win the game as Killdroid. So, to prove him wrong, here's what I did. The game mode was Gunslinger, which means that every survivor has 2 abilities, and to make it even worse, survivors do 2 times the damage. So, I came up with a plan to win the game and get the 1,000 Robux. The first thing I did was to use the flight ability, because it allows you to fly over literally everybody. I'm not gonna lie, this is usually super overpowered, but keep an eye out to make sure where you're landing, because if you land in the wrong spot, you can easily get teamed up on. Now I was gonna use the detonation ability, but risking 125 health for a low amount of damage is probably not worth it. Instead, it's better go around the map and find players one at a time rather than a big group. Then simply use the M1 control to fire a missile at them and slowly weaken them. I'm gonna show you guys 1 minute gameplay and see if you can spot the 2 mistakes I made. If you don't think you got it, feel free to replay the clip for a second time. I think it's pretty obvious why you wouldn't want to do this, but basically I was trying to have it deal splash damage to like nearby players. However, that didn't end up happening. If I wasn't so nervous about the 1,000 Robux, I might have actually hit the target, but unfortunately that just wasted the ability and I had to wait for a cooldown. Now I'm pretty sure that most of you will not guess the second, but if you did, congrats. And that is to not use the M1 ability from super far away. As you can see, I tried getting it to deal splash damage to the player next to the wall, but unfortunately, due to the time it took to get there, the player had already moved out of the way. However, in the end, we did clutch up and get that 1,000 Robux. Now this was good, but you're probably still making these simple mistakes in Forsaken, so to fix that, click this video next.